CEO took her mute daughter to playground, froze when a black single dad made her speak first time. The silence had become Olivia Hayes' most dreaded companion. Not the kind of silence that filled corporate boardrooms before million-dollar decisions, or the respectful quiet of her corner office on the 32nd floor of Hayes Industries. This was different. This was the silence of her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who hadn't spoken a single word in 4 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days. Olivia knew the exact count because she'd been marking each wordless day on her private calendar, a ritual that had become both torture and hope. The doctors said there was nothing physically wrong with Lily's voice. The trauma from the car accident had simply locked it away. "Come on, sweetheart," Olivia whispered, adjusting her designer sunglasses as she guided her daughter through the entrance of Riverside Park. She traded her usual power suit for jeans and a casual blouse, though she still felt overdressed among the other parents. "Let's find somewhere fun to play." Lily's small hand remained limp in hers, her dark eyes scanning the playground with the same cautious wariness she'd developed since that terrible night in March. The little girl who once chattered non-stop about everything from clouds to caterpillars now moved through the world like a ghost of herself. The playground bustled with the typical Saturday afternoon chaos. Children shrieked with joy as they raced down slides, pumped their legs on swings, and chased each other around the climbing structures. Their laughter created a symphony of childhood happiness that made Olivia's chest tighten. When was the last time she'd heard Lily laugh? "How about the sandbox?" Olivia suggested, pointing toward the large rectangular pit filled with fresh sand. "You used to love building castles, remember?" Lily nodded silently and allowed herself to be led over. Olivia had learned to read her daughter's subtle communications, the slight nods, the gentle tugs on her sleeve, the way her eyes would linger on things she wanted. It wasn't enough, but it was something. As they approached the sandbox, Olivia noticed they weren't alone. A tall black man knelt in the sand beside a boy who appeared to be around Lily's age. The man wore paint-splattered work jeans and a faded blue t-shirt that had seen better days. His hands, large and calloused, moved with surprising gentleness as he helped the boy pack sand into a bright red bucket. "That's it, Jaden," the man encouraged, his voice warm and patient. "Press it down real good. We want this castle to be strong enough for a princess to live in." The boy, Jaden, giggled and threw himself into the task with the enthusiastic determination only children possess. "What if the princess has a dragon, Dad? Will our castle be strong enough for a dragon too?" "Well," the man said with mock seriousness, stroking his chin, "I suppose we better make it extra strong then. Can't have a dragon knocking down our masterpiece." Olivia found herself smiling despite her heavy heart. There was something infectious about their easy laughter, their comfortable father-son dynamic that reminded her of easier times with Lily. "Excuse me," she said softly, not wanting to interrupt but needing to claim a section of the sandbox for Lily. "Would it be okay if we shared this space?" The man looked up, and Olivia was struck by his kind eyes and genuine smile. "Of course. Plenty of room for everyone. I'm Marcus, and this architect here is my son Jaden. I'm Olivia, and this is Lily." She gently guided her daughter to sit on the edge of the sandbox, noticing how Lily's eyes immediately fixed on the lopsided castle Marcus and Jaden were constructing. "Hi, Lily," Jaden said with the uninhibited friendliness of childhood. "Do you want to help us? We're making the strongest castle in the whole world." Lily looked up at her mother, her expression uncertain. Olivia felt a familiar pang of helplessness. Before the accident, Lily would have jumped into the sandbox and immediately started offering suggestions and improvements. Now, she seemed frozen between wanting to join and being afraid to try. "You don't have to if you don't want to, sweetheart," Olivia said gently. Marcus seemed to sense the delicate situation. Without making a big deal of it, he continued his work while talking easily to Jaden, creating a comfortable atmosphere that didn't pressure Lily to respond. "You know what this castle needs?" Marcus mused aloud, carefully lifting a bucket to reveal a perfectly formed tower. "It needs some serious fortification. Jaden, what do you think about adding a moat? As father and son began digging a shallow trench around their castle, Olivia watched Lily's face. Her daughter's eyes followed their movements with growing interest, and slowly, tentatively, she slid down from the edge into the sand. Marcus glanced over and smiled. "Hey, we could use another expert builder if you're interested, Lily. This is pretty challenging work." For a moment that stretched like an eternity, Lily simply stared at him. Then, with movements as careful as approaching a wild animal, she crawled closer to their construction site. Olivia held her breath, hope and fear warring in her chest. This was the most engaged Lily had been with strangers since the accident. She pulled out her phone, not to use it, but to have something to do with her hands as she watched this delicate moment unfold. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the playground, and somewhere in the distance, ice cream truck music began to play. But in their little corner of the sandbox, time seemed suspended as three worlds: Marcus and Jaden's easy companionship, Lily's silent curiosity, and Olivia's desperate hope, slowly began to merge into something that felt almost like possibility. Marcus had a gift with children that came as naturally as breathing. Olivia watched, mesmerized, as he somehow managed to include Lily in their castle building without making her feel pressured or singled out. He would casually hand her small amounts of sand, ask Jaden questions that Lily could answer with simple nods, and narrate his work in a way that drew her deeper into their little construction project. "Now, Jaden," Marcus said, carefully smoothing the walls of their castle, "what do you think a proper fortress needs besides strong walls?" "Towers!" Jaden exclaimed, jumping up and scattering sand. "Lots and lots of towers!" "Excellent thinking. And what about you, Lily?" Marcus turned to her with the same genuine interest he'd shown his son. "Do you think we need towers?" Lily nodded enthusiastically, and Olivia felt a flutter of hope. It was the most animated response her daughter had shown in months. "Well then, we definitely need towers," Marcus declared. "But here's the thing, I think we need the best builder in this entire park to help us make them just right." He paused dramatically, looking around the playground as if searching for someone. His eyes landed back on Lily with exaggerated surprise. "Wait a minute," he said, snapping his fingers. "I think I found her. Lily, would you be our head tower architect? This is a very important job." For a moment, Lily looked uncertain, glancing up at her mother. Olivia nodded encouragingly, her heart racing. This was further than Lily had come with anyone outside their family since the accident. Slowly, Lily scooted closer to the castle. Marcus handed her a small blue bucket, the perfect size for her hands. "This is our premium tower making equipment," he said solemnly. "Very advanced stuff. Think you can handle it?" Despite herself, Lily's lips curved into the tiniest smile, the first real smile Olivia had seen in weeks. She accepted the bucket with both hands, treating it like precious cargo. "That's what I'm talking about," Marcus cheered. "Jaden, we've got ourselves a real professional here." For the next 20 minutes, the three of them worked together in comfortable companionship. Marcus guided them through the construction process with the patience of someone who understood that the best things couldn't be rushed. He showed Lily how to pack the sand just right, praised her careful placement of each tower, and treated her contributions as essential to their success. Olivia found herself relaxing for the first time in months. She pulled out her phone and took a few pictures, capturing Lily's concentrated expression as she worked. Her daughter looked happy. Not just content or distracted, but genuinely engaged and happy. "Okay, team," Marcus announced as they placed the final bucket on top of their impressive creation. "I think we've built ourselves a masterpiece. But I have one very important question." He stood up and dusted the sand from his hands, studying their castle with the seriousness of an art critic examining a famous painting. "Should we make it taller?" Jaden immediately started jumping up and down. "Yes. Yes. Make it super tall. Taller than the playground. Taller than the trees." Marcus chuckled and turned to Lily, who had gone very still. "What do you think, Lily? Taller?" Something magical happened in that moment. Lily looked up at their castle, then at Marcus, then at the enthusiastic Jaden. Her face lit up with pure joy, and she let out a sound that made Olivia's breath catch, a genuine, delighted giggle. But that wasn't what stopped Olivia's world. What stopped everything was what came next. "Higher," Lily whispered. The word was so soft it was barely audible, but it cut through the playground noise like a bell. Marcus's hands froze in mid-motion. Jaden stopped jumping. Even the sounds of the playground seemed to fade away. Olivia's phone slipped from her numb fingers, landing silently in the sand. For months, 2 weeks, and 3 days of silence had just been broken by one perfect, whispered word. "Higher," Lily repeated, a little louder this time, looking directly at Marcus with shining eyes. Marcus's face broke into the most beautiful smile Olivia had ever seen. He didn't make a big deal of it, didn't call attention to what had just happened. Instead, he simply nodded seriously and said, "Higher it is. You're absolutely right. This castle definitely needs to be higher." Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she watched Marcus gently lift Lily up so she could place another bucket on top of their creation. Her daughter was talking. Actually talking. To a stranger who had somehow, in the space of an hour, accomplished what months of therapy and countless doctor visits hadn't been able to do. "Perfect," Marcus declared as he set Lily back down. "Now that's what I call a proper castle. Princess-worthy and dragon-proof." Lily giggled again, that beautiful sound that Olivia had thought she might never hear again. "Higher was exactly the right word," Marcus told her with a conspiratorial wink. "You definitely know your castle building." As the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, Olivia realized that everything had just changed. Her daughter had found her voice again, and it had taken a kind stranger and a lopsided sandcastle to unlock what felt like a miracle. The week following their encounter at the playground had been transformational for the Hayes household. Lily hadn't suddenly become her old chattery self, but she was speaking again, small words, whispered observations, and most importantly, she had asked for higher every time they passed the playground. Each word felt like a gift Olivia never thought she'd receive again. That's why, on the following Friday afternoon, Olivia found herself making an unusual detour to Hayes Industries Community Outreach Center instead of heading straight home from work. Lily had specifically asked, in her soft, careful voice, if they could visit the place where you help people, Mommy. The community center occupied the ground floor of one of Olivia's company buildings, serving the surrounding neighborhood with free childcare, job training programs, and various social services. Olivia funded it generously but rarely visited in person, usually leaving the hands-on management to her staff. Today felt different though. Everything felt different since that Saturday at the sandbox. "Mrs. Hayes!" Sarah, the center director, looked surprised to see her. "We weren't expecting you today. Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine," Olivia assured her, Lily's small hand tucked securely in hers. Lily wanted to see the center, and honestly, I realized I don't visit nearly enough. As they walked through the bustling main room where elderly volunteers helped children with homework, Olivia felt a strange sense of pride mixed with guilt. This place was doing real good in the community, yet she'd kept herself distant from it, treating it more like a tax write-off than a genuine commitment. "The reading program starts in about 20 minutes, Sarah was saying when a familiar laugh from across the room made Olivia's head turn sharply. There, kneeling beside a bookshelf that had clearly seen better days, was Marcus. He wore the same type of work clothes from the playground, and his toolbox sat open beside him as he carefully examined the shelf's broken support bracket. "Marcus?" Olivia called out, not quite believing her eyes. He looked up, and his face lit up with genuine surprise and pleasure. "Olivia! And hey there, Lily!" He set down his screwdriver and stood, wiping his hands on a rag from his pocket. Lily immediately moved closer to her mother but didn't hide behind her the way she had been doing with strangers. Instead, she gave Marcus a small wave and whispered, "Hi! Well, that's the best greeting I've gotten all day," Marcus said warmly. "What brings you two here? I could ask you the same thing," Olivia replied, still processing this unexpected coincidence. "Do you work here?" Marcus chuckled and gestured toward the damaged shelf. Volunteer work, actually. I try to come in a couple times a week to fix whatever needs fixing. Today it's this bookshelf that decided to stage a rebellion. Sarah appeared at Olivia's elbow, beaming. Marcus is one of our absolute treasures. He's been volunteering here for almost 2 years, and I don't know what we'd do without him. Last month he rebuilt our entire children's play area after that storm damage. You never mentioned you volunteer here, Olivia said, though she immediately realized how presumptuous that sounded. They'd spent one afternoon together at a playground. Why would he have mentioned his volunteer work? Didn't really come up between castle construction and Jaden's detailed analysis of dragon fighting techniques. Marcus replied with that easy smile that had first put Lily at ease. Speaking of which, how's our head architect doing? He addressed this last question to Lily directly. Good, Lily whispered, then added with more confidence. I told Mommy about the castle. Olivia's heart swelled. That was the longest sentence Lily had spoken to anyone outside their immediate family since the accident. That's wonderful, Marcus said, crouching down to Lily's eye level. Did you tell her about how we made it higher? Higher, Lily repeated, and actually giggled. I can't begin to thank you enough for what you did that day, Olivia said, her voice thick with emotion. Lily hadn't spoken in months before she met you. The doctor said trauma from a car accident had affected her ability to communicate, but somehow you reached her. Marcus's expression grew serious, and he stood up slowly. I'm sorry to hear about the accident. I could tell she was dealing with something heavy. Sometimes kids just need to feel safe enough to try again, you know? No pressure, no expectations, just room to be themselves. Is that your professional opinion, Dr. Marcus? Olivia asked with a teasing smile, trying to lighten the emotional weight of the moment. Actually, I'm just a part-time carpenter who spends too much time reading child psychology books. Marcus admitted with a self-deprecating laugh. Occupational hazard of single parenting, I guess. The word single parenting hung in the air, and Olivia found herself curious about his story. You're raising Jaden alone? Yeah, for the past 3 years. His mom. Marcus paused, glancing at Lily, then chose his words carefully. She decided the family life wasn't for her. It's just been me and Jaden since then. That must be challenging, Olivia said softly. It has its moments, Marcus replied. But honestly, that kid is the best thing that ever happened to me. We figure it out as we go. Sarah cleared her throat gently. I hate to interrupt, but the reading program is about to start. Lily, would you like to join the other children? Lily looked up at her mother, then at Marcus. Will you read too? She asked him. If that's okay with your mom, Marcus said, looking to Olivia for permission. I think that sounds perfect, Olivia replied, watching her daughter's face light up with anticipation. As they walked toward the reading circle, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just coincidence. The reading program had been a revelation. Olivia watched from the back of the room as Marcus sat cross-legged on the carpet, Lily curled up beside him, both of them completely absorbed in a picture book about a brave little mouse. When it was Lily's turn to read a page aloud, something she would have refused to do just weeks ago, Marcus patiently helped her with the difficult words, never making her feel rushed or inadequate. After the session ended, the three of them lingered in the community center's main room while other families filtered out. Lily had discovered a puzzle at one of the activity tables and was methodically working through it, her tongue poking out in concentration the way it used to before the accident. She seems like a different kid, Marcus observed quietly, watching Lily work. She is, Olivia agreed. I mean, she's still healing, but I haven't seen her this engaged with anything in months. You really have a gift with children. Marcus shrugged, but Olivia could see he was pleased. Kids just need someone to meet them where they are, you know? No agenda, no pressure to be anything other than themselves. Is that what you do for work? Something with children? I wish, Marcus said with a rueful laugh. Actually, I'm a carpenter. Or I was anyway. These days I'm mostly doing warehouse work down at the distribution center on 5th Street. Something in his tone made Olivia look at him more closely. You don't sound very happy about that. Marcus was quiet for a moment, watching Lily fit a puzzle piece into place. The warehouse pays better, and it's steady work. When you're a single parent, steady trumps everything else, even if it means giving up what you love. But you still do carpentry projects, right? Like volunteering here? For now, Marcus said. But honestly, the warehouse wants me to go full-time, take on more hours. The money would be, well, it would solve a lot of problems. Jaden's getting older, and he needs things. Better clothes, school supplies, maybe some extracurricular activities like the other kids. The carpentry work I can get is mostly small projects, and it's not reliable enough to depend on. Olivia felt a pang in her chest. Here was this good man, this gentle soul who had somehow unlocked her daughter's voice, and he was being forced to abandon his passion just to make ends meet. What kind of carpentry do you specialize in? She asked. Custom work, mostly. Built-in furniture, cabinet installation, restoration projects. I love bringing old things back to life, making them beautiful and functional again. Marcus's face lit up as he talked about his craft, and Olivia could see the passion he was talking about giving up. Mommy, Lily's voice interrupted their conversation. I finished the puzzle. That's wonderful, sweetheart, Olivia said, walking over to admire Lily's work. It was a complex 50-piece puzzle of a garden scene, and Lily had completed it perfectly. As they prepared to leave, Marcus gathering his tools and Olivia helping Lily with her jacket, an idea began forming in Olivia's mind. It started as a small thought but grew rapidly into something that felt both generous and practical. Marcus, she said as they walked toward the parking lot. Can I ask you something? Hypothetically, if someone offered you a significant carpentry project, something that would pay well and let you keep flexible hours to be with Jaden, would you be interested? Marcus stopped walking and studied her face. Hypothetically? Of course. But projects like that don't exactly grow on trees, especially for guys like me. Guys like you? You know what I mean, Marcus said gently. I don't exactly move in circles where people have big renovation budgets. Olivia felt a flash of something, not quite anger, but a recognition of how unfair life could be. Here was Marcus, talented and hardworking and kind, limited not by his abilities but by circumstances and connections he'd never had access to. That night, after tucking Lily into bed and listening to her whisper a soft good night, another small miracle, Olivia sat in her home office with a cup of tea and her laptop. She pulled up the architectural plans for the Hayes Industries building that housed the community center. On the third floor, and used for the past 5 years, was the old company daycare. When Olivia had taken over as CEO, she'd closed it during cost-cutting measures, believing it was an unnecessary expense. The space had been sitting empty ever since, gathering dust and serving as expensive storage. But looking at it now, with fresh eyes and Marcus's situation in mind, Olivia saw possibility. The old daycare could be beautiful again. It could serve the community center's growing need for childcare space. And renovating it would require exactly the kind of custom carpentry work that Marcus specialized in: built-in cubbies, child-size furniture, safety installations, restoration of the original hardwood floors. It would be a substantial project, easily worth several months of full-time work at rates that would dwarf his warehouse wages. And because it was located in the same building as the community center where he already volunteered, he could maintain the flexible schedule he needed as a single father. Olivia spent the next hour sketching out ideas, making notes, and calculating budgets. By the time she closed her laptop, she was smiling. Sometimes the best business decisions were also the most personal ones. Monday morning, she would make some calls and set everything in motion. Marcus didn't know it yet, but his life was about to change. 3 weeks into the daycare renovation project, Olivia had developed a new afternoon routine. Instead of heading straight home from the office, she would stop by the third floor to check on Marcus's progress and, if she was honest with herself, to see if Lily was there. Her daughter had taken to visiting the construction site after school, drawn by the rhythmic sounds of Marcus's work and the patient way he answered her endless questions about tools, wood grain, and why certain joints were stronger than others. What had started as occasional visits had become almost daily occurrences, with Lily's nanny, Mrs. Chin, bringing her by around 4 o'clock each afternoon. The transformation is incredible, Olivia murmured to herself as she stepped into what had once been a neglected storage space. In just 3 weeks, Marcus had stripped away years of accumulated dust and neglect, revealing beautiful hardwood floors and exposing the room's original architectural details. Built-in cubbies were taking shape along one wall, each one perfectly sized for small hands and backpacks. "Mrs. Hayes!" Jaden's voice called out from across the room. He was sitting on a makeshift bench made from sawhorses and a plank, a homework worksheet spread out in front of him. "Look what Lily taught me!" Olivia walked over to find both children bent over Jaden's math homework. Lily was patiently explaining addition problems, her voice clear and confident in a way that still took Olivia's breath away. 7 plus 5 equals 12, Lily was saying, pointing to numbers on the page. "See? You count 7 then add 5 more. Like building blocks. She's really good at this," Jaden said admiringly. "Way better than me." "You're good too," Lily assured him. "You just need to practice. My mommy says practice makes things easier." Marcus looked up from where he was carefully installing child-height coat hooks, his face glowing with pride, not just for his son, but for Lily too. "Sounds like we've got ourselves a tutor," he said. "Lily, you're a natural teacher." Lily beamed at the compliment, then noticed her mother. "Mommy! Come see what Marcus is making!" Over the past month, Lily had grown comfortable enough to call Marcus by his first name, and he had become a constant presence in her conversations at home. "Marcus says this," and "Marcus showed me that," had become regular parts of her vocabulary, along with stories about Jaden's latest adventures and observations. "What's he making?" Olivia asked, settling down beside her daughter on a clean drop cloth Marcus had laid out. "It's a surprise," Lily whispered conspiratorially, though her whisper was loud enough for everyone to hear. "But I can tell you it's wooden and it's just for me." Marcus chuckled from his workstation. "Some surprise. She's been trying to guess what it is for 3 days. I think it's a dollhouse," Lily announced. "Or maybe a jewelry box. Or possibly a treasure chest. Could be any of those things," Marcus said mysteriously, not looking up from his precise measurements. What Olivia found most remarkable wasn't just that Lily was talking freely, though that continued to feel miraculous, but how natural and relaxed she'd become. The careful, tentative quality that had marked her first words at the playground had given way to genuine conversation. She asked questions, offered opinions, and even disagreed when she thought someone was wrong about something. "Lily," Olivia said, "didn't you bring a book today?" "Oh yes." Lily jumped up and retrieved her backpack from one of the newly installed cubbies. "I'm reading it to Marcus and Jaden. It's about a girl who can talk to animals. She's reading the whole thing by herself," Jaden added proudly. "All the big words and everything." This had become another part of their routine. Each afternoon, while Marcus worked on the renovation, Lily would read aloud from whatever chapter book had captured her interest. She'd started with simple picture books but had quickly progressed to longer stories, her confidence growing with each page. "Where did we stop yesterday?" Marcus asked, taking a break from his measuring to give Lily his full attention. "Chapter 7, Lily said, settling back onto the drop cloth and opening her book. "The part where Sophia discovers that the old owl in the oak tree has been trying to warn everyone about the storm." As Lily began to read, her voice clear and expressive, Olivia felt that familiar tightness in her chest, not the worried tightness she'd carried for months, but something warmer. Gratitude, maybe, mixed with wonder at how much her daughter had healed. Marcus continued his work while listening, occasionally asking questions about the story that showed he was genuinely engaged. Jaden lay on his stomach, chin propped on his hands, completely absorbed in Lily's narration. The owl's yellow eyes gleamed in the moonlight. Lily read, adding dramatic emphasis that made Jaden gasp. "Storm coming," he hooted urgently. "Big storm. Everyone must prepare." "Do you think they'll listen to him?" Marcus asked during a natural pause. I hope so, Lily said seriously. Animals know things people don't always notice. Like how dogs know when earthquakes are coming, or how cats know when their people are sad. That's very wise, Marcus said, and Olivia could hear genuine respect in his voice, not the patronizing tone adults sometimes used with children, but real appreciation for her insight. As the afternoon wore on and Lily continued reading, Olivia found herself watching Marcus work. His hands moved with the same gentle precision she'd first noticed at the playground, whether he was adjusting a cabinet door or listening to her daughter's stories. There was something deeply comforting about his presence, something that made both her and Lily feel safe. 2 months later, the third floor of the Hayes Industries building hummed with excitement and anticipation. The former storage space had been completely transformed into a bright, welcoming daycare facility that looked like something from a parenting magazine. Soft, natural light streamed through the large windows Marcus had meticulously cleaned and restored, illuminating walls painted in cheerful but calming colors and floors that gleamed like honey. The grand reopening was set to begin in an hour, and Olivia stood in the middle of the space, marveling at what Marcus had accomplished. Every detail spoke of craftsmanship and care, from the perfectly aligned cubbies that seemed to invite small hands to explore, to the reading nook he'd created in the corner with built-in benches and cushioned seating. "Mommy, look!" Lily's voice rang out across the room, clear and excited. She was standing beside Marcus near the window, practically bouncing with anticipation. Marcus finished his surprise. Olivia walked over to find Marcus putting the final touches on what was unmistakably a castle, but not just any castle. This was their sandbox castle brought to life in miniature, crafted from beautiful cherry wood and standing about 2 feet tall. Every detail had been lovingly recreated: the slightly lopsided main tower that had made them all laugh, the carefully carved battlements, even tiny wooden flags flying from the highest points. "Marcus," Olivia breathed, running her fingers along the smooth walls. "This is absolutely incredible. It's our castle," Lily announced, looking up at Marcus with pure adoration. "The one we built together. But now it's going to last forever." Marcus smiled, that same gentle expression that had first put Lily at ease in the sandbox months ago. "I thought it deserved to be permanent," he said. "Plus, I figured the kids who use this daycare might enjoy having their own castle to play with." "Can I show everyone when they get here?" Lily asked, already reaching toward the castle before catching herself and looking to Marcus for permission. "It's yours to show," Marcus said. "You were the head architect, after all." The next hour flew by in a whirlwind of arrivals and congratulations. Community center staff, local families, city council members, and Hayes Industries employees filled the renovated space, all marveling at the transformation. Children immediately gravitated toward the various play areas Marcus had created, their delighted squeals and laughter filling the room with exactly the kind of energy the space was meant to contain. Olivia found herself watching Marcus as he moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations with his characteristic humility. Several people had already approached him about potential projects, and she could see the quiet pride in his eyes as he realized his reputation was spreading. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah called out, clapping her hands to get everyone's attention. "If I could have everyone gather around, Mrs. Hayes would like to say a few words." Olivia stepped forward, her heart full as she looked out at the assembled crowd. Lily stood close beside her, no longer hiding behind her mother's legs but standing tall and confident, occasionally whispering observations about the people in the room. "6 months ago," Olivia began, "this space was nothing but storage and regret. I had closed this daycare during cost-cutting measures, thinking it was a luxury our company couldn't afford. I was wrong. What I've learned is that sometimes the most important investments aren't in quarterly profits or market share, they're in community, in relationships, and in giving people the chance to show what they're capable of." She paused, her eyes finding Marcus in the crowd. He stood with Jaden beside him, both of them listening intently. "Marcus Washington didn't just renovate this space," Olivia continued, her voice growing stronger. "He rebuilt more than just walls and floors. He rebuilt hope, possibility, and faith in what happens when we invest in people who deserve our trust. The crowd murmured appreciatively, and Olivia saw Marcus duck his head, clearly moved by her words. But perhaps most importantly, Olivia said, her voice softening as she looked down at Lily, he helped my daughter find her voice again. And in doing so, he reminded me what really matters. Lily tugged on her mother's sleeve and whispered something in her ear. Olivia smiled and nodded. Lily has something she'd like to show everyone, Olivia announced. With confidence that would have been unimaginable months earlier, Lily walked over to the wooden castle and began telling the assembled crowd its story, how she and Marcus and Jaden had built the original in the sandbox, how it had been her idea to make it higher, and how Marcus had surprised her by making it permanent and beautiful. And the best part, Lily concluded, her voice carrying clearly across the room, is that now all the kids who come here can play with it and make their own castle stories. The crowd erupted in applause, and Olivia felt tears streaming down her face as she watched her daughter, confident, articulate, joyful, take a small bow. As the formal ceremony wound down and people began to mingle and explore the space, Olivia found Marcus standing quietly by the window, watching the children play. Marcus, she said, approaching him with Lily in tow, I meant what I said up there. You've given us so much more than beautiful craftsmanship. You gave me a chance when I needed it most, Marcus replied. That project saved my family, Olivia. I can't thank you enough. Well, Olivia said, glancing down at Lily, who was already planning her next castle adventure with Jaden. I hope you know that you're welcome in our lives anytime. Both of you. We're better when you're around. Marcus's smile was radiant. I'd like that very much. As laughter filled the renovated space and children's voices rose in joyful play, Olivia realized that sometimes the most beautiful renovations weren't about buildings at all. They were about hearts, families, and the unexpected ways that strangers could become exactly what you never knew you needed.